Hi, viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Nanaya Boy Show. Today, I have a hero in our midst. I have Hassan Abdus-Sabur. Did I mention your name right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Hassan is a man with so many talents. He is this is how I found him. I found him on the GoFundMe page as a GoFundMe hero. He cycles for change, and the change is in respect to fundraising for young Black people who intend to go to universities or colleges in the US, whose means are challenged. So that is where he comes in. And it takes a certain person with a lot of love and heart to do what he does. And the bicycling, now I cannot balance myself on a bicycle to
You
save
can.
my life.
Wow.
But this is what he does to fundraise. So I want us to talk to Hassan, his humanitarian and philanthropic work, and its impact on society. And these days, this is how I've come to see the world, the ripple effect of how we live our lives and how it affects people. Sometimes not only those close to us, but it's beyond to impact change when you look at the long run. Yes. So, Hassan, that is the little bit I have about you. But you know what
Thank
I did? I did a little video to actually introduce you. So let's see if I
you.
get it wrong. You tell me, Nana, no. You should have added this and this. So I'm going to play
No,
it
I'm sure it's
now,
perfect.
and then Hassan will tell me yes or no, right?
Uh-oh. Yes. I'm already saying yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, what happened? Oh, that was the wrong one.
That was
Yes,
perfect.
yes. I,
Was perfect.
I, I was working my stuff.
I
Thank
see. I
you.
see this. That was a high tech operation going on there. Thank you, Nana.
Hassan, welcome, and thank you for agreeing to be with me on the Nana Yaya Boy show. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So, who are you?
Um, First, I'm a human being. Probably, I'm a human being. I'm a father. I'm a soon-to-be
Mhm.
husband. I'm a philanthropist, a student of life. That's who I am. I'm just a person. I have this idea that crazy idea that we actually can make differences in the world as
Yes.
individuals operating in groups that operate in larger groups. But I do believe that we all have a purpose on this earth, and I want to fulfill my purpose.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think that philanthropy and giving and working with children is part of my purpose, and part of me feeling whole
Hmm.
in this. The older we get, I'm 49 years old, so I'm about to reach that half a century mark. And
Half
we
a
start
century.
half a century, yeah. That's a little inside joke for everybody listening. Nana and I had an inside joke about a quarter of a century earlier.
Okay.
That's a half a century. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's basically it. I wanna when we all, and I don't want to be fatalistic, but at some point we all are gonna be laying on that bed
yeah.
and taking our last breaths. And me, I hope I can actually say I did something. I'm okay with that and ready to rest my body. But while I'm breathing, I want to
Yeah.
do.
You say that, and just recently we lost Tina Turner
Yes,
transitioned to be an ancestor. And
Yes.
in an interview, I forgot who she interviewed with, but she did say something profound, that age has given her the opportunity to not take things so seriously, and that she's lived her life to a certain point that if it is time for her to go, she is okay with it because
Yes.
she has lived. And I ask myself, how many of us can actually say that?
Mm.
But then you also talk about purpose. How many of us know our purpose? And
Mm.
how does one find their purpose in life?
Wow.
From your experience.
From my experience,
Yes.
I hit rock bottom in life, and I explained a little bit of that in the GoFundMe interview,
Mm-hmm.
where I didn't have much fit in the physical world. I still had my children, but I was
Mm-hmm.
going through a divorce and almost losing my home and losing my job, and I didn't think I had much to give. And
Yeah.
then a friend of mine called me up and I started volunteering, doing campaign work, and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
was fulfilling a void. It was giving me purpose to wake up in the morning and do it. But the thing was, when I didn't think I had anything to give, that's probably when I had the most to give of
Most to give.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of got into this thing of you always have something to give. And
Mm-hmm.
we always think of the physical, like, oh, I don't have money, or I don't have a car, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. But you have time. You can
Yeah.
you always have time. You have resources, and we don't realize we let the world tell us what our resources is. That's why we think we don't have any. And you and I were, discussing a little bit of that earlier
Mm-hmm.
before we got on too. But we have a plethora of resources, abundant of resources at our disposal, and we just don't know. And the first being our physical labor that we can give. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is kind of how I started getting into my purpose, by realizing I had nothing physical, but I had all of this to give. So I had my intellectual power, and I saw a need in that needed to be fulfilled. I'm like, oh, these
Yeah.
kids are going to school and they don't have money. Or I hear a bunch of people say, oh, I wanted to go here, but I didn't have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
So how does somebody without an abundance of money give money or fulfill its need? And that's through others, and that's through a righteous cause. So I think our cause is pretty righteous,
Yeah.
and people recognize that and want to give. But that's kind of how I found my purpose, by clearing a bunch of things out in my life that I thought were important: the cars, the houses, the trips, the this, the that.
Mm-hmm.
Once that was taken away, not taken away, but once that was out of the picture,
Yeah.
and I could no longer buy a car when I wanted to buy a car, go on vacation when I wanted to go on vacation, or even afford to pay my bills. I said to myself, this is not life. You know what I'm saying? This is not the end of me. This is not it. It is something more. That's when I started giving. And when I started giving, I started getting. So
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, well, the good book says it's in giving that we receive.
yes, yes. Believe me, I ascribe to that philosophy 100% for real. Believe me, because
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
oh, let me give more, let me give more, let me give more. But my friend told me about, like, we always say karma, and we associate karma with bad. Like if somebody does something bad, we always say, oh, karma's gonna get that person.
Yes.
But karma, he was
It's
telling
both.
me, yes, it's about work. It's the work you put in. So if you put in
Yes.
good work, you'll get good work back. You put in bad work, you'll get bad. It's a simple concept. You know what I'm saying? So uh, I started with doing my karma and saying, you know what? Let me give more. Let me give
Mm-hmm.
this person more. Let me do this. Let me do.
Mm-hmm.
And then good things started happening to me. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
spread the love.
Amen, amen, and
Amen.
amen. I agree
Amen.
with you on that. I agree
Yes.
with you on that. Yes. Um, so what does I came across this term black joy. Have never come across that term black joy in one of the write-ups, I think on the GoFundMe Hero website.
Oh,
Um,
black. Oh, yeah, the black
yeah, black
joy.
joy. What
Yes.
what does black joy mean to you or for you?
To me, it's being the ability to express yourself, whatever that self is, and not be confined in a box. Because it was a point in our history as Africans in America that we could not even smile or laugh and things like that. Like you, it's not, that's not hyperbole, that's like real. We could not show expressions of joy and happiness and even pain, to the point where black bodies were experimented on because they didn't believe we
Ex-
could feel
Yes,
pain and things like that. They
yes,
looked at us just like a horse or a cow. So to
yes,
be able to have uh, 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 that ability to shine now and laugh, and even amongst all the wretched and stuff that goes on and all this horrible things that go on in this world, to be able to smile and laugh, that's such a powerful expression that
hmm
you cannot break us. You know what I'm saying? All
yeah,
400 years of chattel slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, destroying Africa, and you will still see kids dancing. You will see us making up dances and making up phrases and creating music. Like we created, jazz and hip hop, all from,
yes,
the drum. And so that's what black joy is to me, the ability for us to still say, we are here, we are happy. We have work to do, but in that work, even we had work songs. You know what I'm saying? We
yes,
developed work songs out of slavery and these things like that. So that's what black joy is to me, the ability for us, even you and I, to be on this wonderful podcast and media platform, just to be
yeah,
to laugh and smile amongst each other. That's black joy. And sometimes that black joy has to be expressed that way because people, they, some folks don't like that. Some folks don't. It was some ladies a while ago in Napa Valley. It was I think it was like 8 black women, and they had a
yeah,
white woman in a group too, and they were laughing on a
yes,
train, and they were arrested and kicked off the train just for laughing and having a good time. Like that was so upsetting to someone, that these women were laughing and having a good time, that, so
it's so poignant you say that, because by nature I have decided in my life to, no matter the circumstances, to be on a happy side.
yes, yes,
If I can solve the problem, I will. If I'm not able to solve the problem, I will just let it be, but try to be happy. And so people have this perception that I am always happy, like I don't have any issues or problems bothering me.
yeah,
But I do, but I choose to, and that is my joy. But I
yes,
do find that irrespective of where we are or where we meet as, black people, we find the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the
yeah,
family, to be able to speak and, be happy together. So
yeah,
yeah, and that is, I see that a lot with amongst, black people in certain places and in spaces. Sometimes all you need to do is just look. You don't know the
catch
person you're
eye
sitting.
contact. You
Eye
like,
contact, yes. And it's like it doesn't matter whether I am continental, you are diasporan, you are this, you are that, speaking, we all come together. We all come
yes,
together. Yes.
agreed.
Yeah. So let's get back to this your humanitarian work. And so I read through my research that the first young person you assisted to get into one of these. Is it Howard University?
Yes, it was Howard. Yes.
It was Howard University. So Howard is part of the historically black colleges and
Colleges and universities.
yes, okay. So because there are viewers who are not used to some of these terminologies or
Okay.
have no idea. Some of my viewers are in Ghana, others are in the UK, and it's surprising enough. I don't know what's in Vietnam, but
Yeah, yeah. It's not, those things are not promoted. So historically, black colleges and
yeah,
universities were started after emancipation. So
mhm,
after the emancipation proc, so in a lot of these schools popped up in
yeah,
18, like Howard was incorporated in 1867. So it was
1867.
for newly free slaves. They set up a lot of these schools. So the majority of them were set up in those coming years,
Hmm.
1867, and
Yeah.
on 18, I think even one, Lincoln, I think the oldest, Lincoln or Cheney, was like 1865. So
Okay.
that's what these schools were set up for. And a lot of them were agricultural, like Hampton was an agricultural school to,
Hmm.
show folks how to independently operate
Yeah.
farms and things like that. And a lot of them were teachers' colleges because those were the only jobs that really we could do is, back then be teachers and farmers and, things
Yeah.
like that. And they did produce attorneys and, at
Hmm.
that time, but the majority of the education was focused in on,
Yeah.
specific things that help us at that time. So, and after that, the schools really, we couldn't go to the majority of, we couldn't go to 98% of colleges in the United States. So if you wanted to be educated as a black person back then, you had to go to one of these HBCUs. So
Hmm.
they developed, all of these wonderful people coming out of these schools, but
Yeah.
then with desegregation, because they can't facilitate, HBCUs don't facilitate the majority of black students. They only have 13% of black students. So
Hmm.
the other 87 students, 87% go to PWIs, which is predominantly white institutions.
Yeah.
So we only have 13%. So, but that 13% produces most of the doctors, the attorneys,
Wow.
they do. Yeah, that's the amazing part about it. And that's extremely underfunded. So it's an HBCU in Louisiana called Xavier, and they
Yeah.
produce the majority of black doctors, you know,
Wow.
and they just, Xavier and Morgan just got a medical school because they didn't have a medical school, but you went in there.
Hmm.
Most of the students who went in there wanted to be pre-med or,
Yeah.
something like that. Like Tuskegee actually produces like 87% of black veterinarians. And they have all of this and they produce all of this and they're still underfunded. So as usual, we do more with less. So that's why it's important for me not just to say this is a scholarship for you if you go to college, but
Hmm.
specifically if you go to HBCU because of the product that it produces.
Oh, wow. That
Yes.
is so impactful. I think one of the things that we should thank our forefathers or our
Yes.
foreparents that conceptualized that idea that this is what is important for the community and generations to come because they laid those foundations for us. And more often, it takes an individual with an idea for people who also can buy into it to,
Yeah.
make it happen. And the more reason I say that also is that um, for Africa, many of the countries in Africa, and I'm going to speak in to Ghana in particular, to gain its independence, it was actually also pushed and inspired by the Dr. Martin Luther King's and
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
So it is that collaboration and support of the diasporan African and of the continental African to show them a different, this is how the
This is how it's
reality of
done.
us is, to be able to say, okay, let's get it done. And even before then, Maya Angelou was also on the ground teaching and being part of that push and voice to help
Yes.
transform. So I, you know what, we pay homage to them, to their
Yeah.
sacrifices and the life, the blood, the sweat that they pour
Ashe.
down on.
Yeah. Yes.
They
Ashe.
should be pouring libation. Yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes.
I pour a little bit out for the homies.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So we duly respect them, we duly acknowledge them, and we duly thank them for the sacrifices that they've made for even
Yes, we
somebody
do.
like me to be here with you as my brother across time. But now we're having these conversations, and you are
Yes.
also giving somebody a stepping stone. So tell me, the first person that you gave a brief of how it started earlier in our
Okay.
conversation, but I want you to go in depth about this person that you started with. How
Okay.
much funds were able to be raised? Yes.
So the first person, I don't know. I went to Howard in the 90s and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to finish. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always been a thorn in my side, me not finishing college. So my brother, I call him my brother, he's my best friend from Howard.
Mm-hmm.
He called me up and he said his niece is in jeopardy of being kicked out of Howard because
Mm-hmm.
of finances.
Yeah.
So that kind of triggered something in me to
Yeah.
say, hey, let's do a fundraiser for her. And, I donated to his GoFundMe page. I was like, she's never going to make it if she doesn't get a whole bunch of money. So that's where the bike ride, I said, maybe if I do this bike ride, people will be kind of inspired to
Yeah.
donate. So the first bike ride that we did for Marbella, it only raised $7,000 or $8,000. It was in that range. But
That's
what
quite something.
it was because it was just done on a whim.
Yeah.
So but the good thing was she raised 8,000 on her own. Then we
Yeah.
raised the say $7,000. So it gave her enough to get back in because what happened was COVID
Yes.
and it shut the campus down. So she didn't have to pay for housing. So
Yes.
all she was, so it gave her enough money. And then the next year we found two students from Newark to do it again. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when we said, hey, we set the goal at what, 25,000, and we
Yes.
ended up raising 38,000. And I was
Wow.
like, oh wow. So we gave each kid 10 grand. The
Yes.
rest we utilized for the ride and for next year. And
Yes.
then that's when the ball started rolling. And then last year we said we're gonna raise 50,000 for 6 students, and
Yes.
it expanded. So we didn't only just we did 3 Howard students, then we did a Morgan State
Yes.
University student, a University of Maryland Eastern Shore, a North Carolina A&T. Yeah, and then those
Mm-hmm.
were the 6 schools or the 6 students.
Yeah.
And we set a goal at 50,000 and we ended up raising 88,000. So I was like, oh my God, everybody's loving it. And, GoFundMe contacted me, and then that
Yes.
started going, and it just, the ball started rolling. So
Rolling.
like
Yeah.
you said in the beginning, that little pebble of $7,000 started a ripple effect. Now
Yes.
we've raised probably over $150,000 for students with the goal
Wow.
of $1 million. So hopefully we can hit 1 million in a couple of years. But that's
No,
all
it's not hopefully.
we
You
will.
are. Yes,
Yeah,
you will
we,
hit that million.
we will hit $1 million, and that's
I will have a conversation about that million.
say that again.
You will hit that million in
Yes,
fundraising for the students. And
yes,
you and I will have another conversation
yes,
just like
yes.
in that regards.
We
Yes.
will. We will.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So that
So
was kind of the that's kind of how this snowball effect just started
mhm,
going, and now is bigger than just this. It's a lot of people on the outside, we've incorporated into a 501c3 so people can give larger donations and give tax write-offs and things like
Okay. Oh,
that.
wow.
So
Okay.
yes, we have a whole board. So it's not just me now. It's a bunch of other folks that are invested in seeing this thing grow. And it's a good thing. I love it. And it
Yeah.
all started with one phone conversation and one idea, and just this idea to ride a bike from one point. If you say I'm riding a bike from Canada to the United States, people are gonna be like, oh my God, how are you gonna do that? And it's all about just getting on a bike and pedaling, just like you get in a car and drive, you get on a bike.
Right. Yeah.
But the idea is so uh
Important.
yes.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's so I don't know how many people take the ideas so seriously, but I always have a little book that an idea sparks. I write it out, or I write it down. That if you have an idea, try and figure out how to act it. Good ideas. Well,
Yes.
not all ideas great, but figure it out, and have a conversation with somebody who will be able to give you some kind of guidance to let you how do we call it, get going. Wow. So this first young lady is done
She
with
She
university.
graduated. Yep, she
She graduated.
graduated.
Wow.
That next coming, because that was her junior year that we
Yeah.
helped her. So that next year she graduated, and we feel, a bunch of us feel like we had a part in this woman's success.
Yeah.
And now that is with these other two students. Well, we have 8 students total now that's in school, and next year they'll all be juniors and sophomores, and we'll just keep pushing them through the ranks. So part of our ride is not just Nana getting her education and being rich. Part of the ride is in our application process now is to say, what are you going to do with your education to come back
Mm,
home and make it
mm,
better? So we have, take a place like Howard University. They have 97 or 100 kids in their medical school that's graduating. So they have 100 doctors coming out. Out of
wow.
those 100 doctors, 67 of them might be Nigerian. And that's no joke. Like
Oh,
more
whoa.
than half, more than half. But listen to that. Where are these people? Where are these brothers and sisters taking their education to? Are they staying in America with it? Are they going back to England or London or wherever the heck else they're going, to Canada, and they're getting paid? So you have all of these doctors coming out of Nigeria, and then guess what? Only 2 of them are going back home with that. So then what good does that do Nigeria, that you're making all of this money and you're doing all of these great things, and then it's one doctor for 500 people in Nigeria? You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of
Hassan,
what we,
I fully understand you. You see the English is changing. The
yes,
accent is changing.
yes.
I fully understand where you're coming from. But we
So
have issues to deal with.
we do. So that's kind of what we want to do. So in a city like Newark, it's
Mm,
a city that it's an urban city, and we're in a renaissance right now. But we want those students that's getting those
yeah.
wonderful degrees in engineering and doctors and attorneys. We want all of those kids to come back home, utilize those degrees to help fix the problems in your neighborhood. So if you're getting an MBA from whatever school, Hampton, or whatever school you're going to, why can't you use that MBA to come home and open up a business? So you have a master's in business administration or whatever, and then you go right to whatever company, Xerox, and you go use
Yeah.
it at Xerox. So why can't you open up a business on one of our corridors, Springfield Avenue, Clinton
Mm,
Avenue, Why can't you come open up a business there, develop a business incubator there, or something like that? But we take our educations and we use it to develop somebody else's, and our neighborhoods go like this. So your mother, you can have the best engineering and architecture degree in the world from the best school, and your mother's block is falling apart. So
It's
what
true.
good? Yeah, what good is that degree if it can't help solve the problems in your community? So that is why we say, what not, I don't care about your degree. How could you use that degree to solve some of Newark's issues? So that's mainly what we want our children. Now we know everybody's not going to come back home, but if we have 100 students that we're sending away and half of them come back, even 25% of them come back home and buy a house, develop a business, send their kids to school, our community would be better.
Yeah, that's true. So let me just quickly reach out to the viewers who are watching this from around the world. If you've not subscribed to the Nanaya Yabwa show, please do. I know that a lot of people just pop in and watch. Not many of you have subscribed, so please do subscribe so that when we come back, when we have guests, we're able to bring bigger and better guests and help this channel to grow to where it needs to get to, because there are powerful stories to be told, lives to be changed and transformed and inspired as
Yes.
well. So please subscribe to the channel so that the work can continue. For me personally, I have a lot on my plate when it comes to telling our narratives, however that it is. So yes, subscribe and let's get there.
Help our
And
digital griot out.
sorry.
I said, help our digital griot out.
Yeah, thank you. Help our digital griot. That's right. That's right. We have a lot to do and a lot to talk about. Yes. And so we were talking about success. The young lady having actually graduated and whatnot. For you personally, what does success mean for you?
Hmm. Success for me means happiness, first of all, if we're happy. And I know that's a fleeting thing, but if we're that's success to me, being fulfilled, and my kids used to say filling their buckets, in kindergarten. She was like, are you a bucket filler or a bucket tipper? Like, I want my bucket to be filled up with
Yeah.
that joy that we were talking about, filled up, not knowing that I went through life helping others, that I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't, have this little nuclear circle that I was in, like wife, kid, dog, house.
Mm-hmm.
But my community is actually the world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So how that's success to me, when somebody could say, you know what, Hassan didn't walk through this earth and just do for himself or buy himself new cars or utilize his resources just for himself. But I truly believe that's what success looks like. Just I feel I'm successful now. You know what I mean?
Amen to
And
that. Yes.
I feel I'm successful now. I feel that I'm living in my purpose. That's what success means to me.
Living in your purpose. Oh,
Living
wow.
in your purpose. Yes.
That is deep. I suppose the half a century and the gray hair and the wisdom is all
It's coming through. It's some
it's
this
coming through.
It's coming through, because before it
Mhm.
didn't look like that. Success
Yeah.
looked very different. Success to me meaning the ability to purchase the material items that I wanted, to be able to go
Yes.
on vacations when I wanted. That's what success meant to me. But now success is more attached to my health and me being able to walk,
Hmm.
to work, and things like that, or having a bunch of family around and just looking at that. My daughter graduated. We had a graduation party for her yesterday, and I just looked
Beautiful.
around the room and I was like, wow. And she was happy, and her brothers and sisters were laughing, and we were amongst family. And I was like, that's something that you can't buy. You can't put a price tag on it, and you can't buy
Yeah.
it. So that is what success is to me now. Watching my children, accomplish their dreams, and watching other people and seeing that young lady Marbella graduate, and now I'm kind of looking at these other children like, come on, we can do it. And
Do
when
it.
they move up and they text me and tell me, hey, I just got an internship here, or that
Oh, wow.
recommendation you wrote. One young lady sent me she asked me for a recommendation, one of our scholars from last year. And I wrote a recommendation, and she sent me a text message and said, hey, I got that internship, the one you wrote me to now, not saying that my recommendation did it, but me saying that I was a small piece that
Yes.
helped get you to your goal. You know what I mean? And if we all could be little pieces
Pieces.
to help push the next generation up there. So we
Mm.
live so much for ourselves. And I just feel that's successful to me, getting those text messages, hearing people say, hey, you helped me do this, or the scholarship, I needed that, or just knowing that we're alleviating some of the financial pressures for parents,
Yes.
because the parents I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but in America, student debt is terrible, and parents have to take out loans on top of loans, and you're
Yeah.
leaving school with 100. My niece, graduated, she has $100,000 in debt.
I'm not surprised. I left, well, when you go to school too long,
Yeah.
I left school with 70 plus thousand in debt.
And you know what? To educate yourself to want a
Yes.
better life, we have to
Mhm.
put ourselves in debt. And it's
Yes.
not fair. Like it's not fair, because you have to have a college degree to even get a job paying close to living wages. And
Wages.
then
Yeah. Which is
you're
correct.
saying you leaving college with a $500, $600 a month bill. So, that is why we started this scholarship route, also
Yes.
to alleviate that, because we know that Black students, they come out of school with more debt. So you go to a school like Princeton, who has a $20 billion endowment. So kids could basically go to Princeton for free.
Yeah.
Princeton could fund everybody's education. Harvard has a $40 billion
Oh,
endowment.
wow.
That's more than most countries, the GDP on a lot of these
Most
small
countries. Yes.
countries.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So they have the ability to make sure kids go to school for free. And then the majority of our children aren't in those schools. So we have to go to schools, and we're coupled with debt. And then we just are in a perpetual cycle of debt and craziness. So
Yes.
that's why we are getting to that $1 million. So if someone says, I want to go to school, we can say, how much does it cost? You have to fulfill these requirements, and here you go, and come out of school debt free, and fulfill your dreams when you don't have that financial albatross around your neck pulling you down. You know what I'm saying? So that is one of the main reasons why I feel alleviating this debt from students. So it's beautiful to have this ride, and we're riding a bike and we're raising money, but we really want to make it so that these students are leaving this school with minimal debt. If they leave school after 4 years with $25,000 in debt, that's okay. But
Mhm.
if you leave this school with 100, I know people who have graduated from law school with 150, 200,000. I'm like, oh my God,
When are you
you
going
know,
to finish paying this?
when are you? Yeah, so
Yes. With this story you're telling, with this experience that you're sharing with me, what I keep thinking about is it takes a village. Yes. The
yes, it
concept
does.
of it takes a village. And now
It's
so
so cliche after
no,
Hillary Clinton said it,
it's
but
not a
it's so
cliche.
true. It is true.
You see, what the West, Hillary Clinton did not say that. It takes a village is an African proverb.
No, I know it's an African proverb. I said when she said it, it kind of commercialized it, but even in the commercialization of it, it's true. And it's really such a simple concept, but it's
Yes.
the truest concept in the world. It does.
Yes.
It takes a village to, do whatever we want to do. It's always better together. And that's part,
Yes.
our bride has an African proverb. It says, and we put it on all our shirts and all our materials. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go
Go
far, go together.
further.
Yes,
Go
so
to
that's
yes.
our
Yes.
motto for, we're
Yes.
gonna throw our African proverbs in there. And
No,
it,
they do guide, they have life substance. They do
yes.
guide us in a lot of ways. We lose the essence of our proverbs. Sometimes we lose the essence of life, because a
Mm,
proverb is not just that saying, it gives you a whole concept. We have a saying in Akan that obanyansafo yebu ne be yenka nasem, or otherwise translated as a word to the wise is enough. That is very loosely translated.
yes, yes,
The wise is spoken to in proverbs, not in
yes.
plain tongue. That is a better translation.
My grandfather used to say that. He always used to tell me, "Let a word to the wise be sufficient," and I
Yes.
love that saying. Yes.
Yes, yes. So it is only the wise that we speak to in Proverbs, because then they will understand it. You tell a
Mm.
foolish person a proverb, they will never understand it. Yeah. So exactly that is what you are doing. Now back to you. So how has all these, all this that you doing, the giving, changed or transformed your life as you see it?
It's expanded my world
Mm,
tremendously. It has expanded my reach. Just
mm,
this interview and you reaching out to me on your platform, I'm still like, oh wow, because you're in Canada and
yes,
I'm in New
in
Jersey.
Newark. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Newark right now, and I'm like, wow, and it's just expanded my world, and that's what I think that's the joy of it for me because I'm meeting all these amazing people and all off of just telling your story, telling my truth. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? And not holding back and somebody listens and they because the part I think we have to do is be vulnerable and
mm,
people understand vulnerability because if I get up here and say, oh yeah, I biked to DC and then the next year I'll bike to this and I raised this money and I did this.
mhm,
And people say, I can't do that. I want people to say, wow, he did that coming from here or under these circumstances, I can do that. So I think that's one of the best things that it's done to my life is expand my reach, expand my network, and expand my it just has made me a better person being able to tell my story, tell my truth. And now be head of an organization
yeah.
now. The HBCU Scholarship Rod is an
Mm.
organization now that
Oh.
actually pushes for this. So it has definitely helped me become a better person and help me develop leadership skills and not just a leader, but actually help me delegate and make other people lead because I think I'm a good leader, but I'm also a good follower too. And to be honest with you, I like following more than I like leading because it's actually like when you ride bikes. So all my bike riding friends out there across the world listening, when you ride bikes, when you're in the front, you're doing
Yes.
the most work. You're pulling everybody. So everybody
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
this. And the person in the middle and the person at the end, they're doing the least amount of work because it's called
Hmm.
drafting. So
Oh,
the
okay.
person in the front is pushing the hardest. So
Yeah.
sometimes I like being in the front and then I like fall into the middle and I
Yeah.
like coasting sometimes and letting so
So you're pretty flexible. You read and you kind of maneuver in and out as
yeah.
needed.
Yeah, I think that's yes. I think that's a westernized way that we That's why we don't operate in groups, because everybody has to be a
Be
leader.
the leader. Yeah.
Everybody has to be in charge. I'm in charge, and I want to wear the big hat. And it's like, I don't care if you wear the big hat. As long as we get there, I don't care who is in the front. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
As
get it done.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't care who brings the food in the house, who cooks the food. As long as I'm eating, at the end of the day, I'm happy with everybody who helped along the process. And
Yeah.
even so that's really the thing. We all that's how it has enhanced my life, because it's made me, I think, a better all around person, and not so myopic and focused in on
Yes.
how I want to do things. It helps me work in a group, and that's how it's made me better. That's the
Oh,
long
wow.
answer.
That's no, this has been so impactful. So, I have learned so much from you. For me, because I discovered you looking for, also with an intention to do something, which has been, for mine, it's been bothering me for so long. And
Mm,
I started doing nursing preceptorship here. And
mm,
with the whole nursing situation, I figured that instead of complaining about the system, why don't I be part of the solution?
yes,
And in being part of the solution for here, no matter what it is, it's okay. But then there are women having children around the world in places that they do, what I have can benefit them. So
yes,
how do I go about it? And for some reason, because I also talk, um there are certain skills that have been identified that will, enhance care, train the trainer and all those things. So that is how, in my quest to find my other side of giving, that's how I found you.
nice. See what I'm talking about? It all works itself out in a circle.
Yes. And it was inspiring to see such from you that it's so I'm learning, and yes, you are, how do you call it, half a century, a few years up there than I am. So
People listen, that's a badge of honor for me. Like, and that's another thing. We like being older or getting older. It's kind of like we push folks out to the pasture, and we
yes,
still have things to give, and we still have a purpose in the world. I don't care how old you are, we still have a purpose. It's still something for us to do. I was listening to this lady. I don't know if y'all have it up there. Her name is Judge Judy.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes,
And Judge Judy was saying, if you didn't do it in your 20s, you could do it in your 30s. And if you didn't do it in your 30s, you could do it in your 40s. And she kept going on. And she said some famous painter was like in her 80s when
yes,
she started painting and things like that. So we, as long as we have life and breath in our bodies and our health, which is super duper important, as long as we have that, we can do things. And it's no set given time. I'm back in school. I have a couple of more credits to complete my
oh
degree.
wow,
And yeah, that is, I can't tell kids, I can't tell kids to go to school if you're not
without,
doing it. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So it's just that I'm in class with a bunch of younger people, and it inspires me. And it's never too late to
late,
finish.
yes,
It's never too late. It's
yes,
on when you think it's too late for something, that's when you've given up on life. But it's
yes,
never too
too
late. So
late.
yes.
Wow, that is a beautiful segue to end this conversation.
Thank you so
Oh
much.
man, if you hug,
My virtual hug. Let's virtual.
virtual hug,
Bring it in.
my brother. Thank you so much, Hassan. The
Please.
African came out, my brother.
My yes, you know what? Let me tell you something. I feel so much better when we call each other that, and especially my folks across the diaspora. When
Yes.
we run into each other and we like my brother, my sister, I feel so much. I feel like, oh wow, I made it. I'm whole. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
let's bring that back into existence of calling each
Yes.
other my brother, my sister,
Yes.
and know that we are one.
That is true. That is true. That is true. And on that note, thank you so very much for your time, for your patience. For those that were watching, also thank you for tuning into the Nana Yayebua show because we were coming to you live. I appreciate you all. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. And
Yes.
we will come to you in the near future with beautiful, great, and beautiful shows. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Nana.